Good morning, Summit County. I'm Cory, Dam Brewmaster here at Dillon Dam Brewery. These are my assistants, Mike Bennett and JJ Miles. We're standing outside the brewery here today. Gonna take a look around at some of the stuff that goes into making this damn beer. Clear up some misconceptions maybe. We'll start with this big green guy right over here. A lot of people ask, is that the beer? Is that the water? What is that? That is our two-row grain silos. So that is the main ingredient to all the beers that we produce here. We get 2 semi-loads of two-row malted grain from Great Western up in Idaho about twice a year, and it's 50,000 pounds a time. So that gets us about a half a year. We put about 950 pounds, somewhere in there, 900 to about 1,000 pounds of grain into each brew, and we brewed 2 batches to fill each 1,000-gallon fermenter. So today we're brewing McClure's Irish Dry Stout. And right here in the mash tun, we've already mixed a little over 1,000 pounds of grain in with about 325 gallons of hot water at about 165 degrees. You see it's nice and steamy. Get a nice workout in the sauna in the morning here at the Dam Brewery. Lots of chocolate and roast flavors coming out of that Irish Stout right now. And it's sitting there at about 148 degrees. What's going on is it's converting the sugars into simpler sugars that the yeast will be easier to digest, more easily digestible. Then eventually we'll transfer it over here to the kettle until we get 610 gallons of hot wort in this kettle. And then we'll boil that for 2 hours, because here at 9,000 feet, we only boil at about 195, 196. During that 2-hour boil, we'll throw hops in here 3 or 4 times, sometimes more for certain beers, sometimes less for other beers. The stout's getting 3 different hoppings. The first one's going to give it bitterness. The second one gives it flavor. The third gives it just a tiny hint of aroma. We skip the last hop so that what you smell in the Irish Stout is malt and not hop. It's a big variety. It's a big range. Our light only has about 6 pounds of hops in 600 gallons of boiling wort. Our extra pale ale, on the other hand, has over 30 pounds of hops in 600 gallons of boiling wort. So we're looking at about a pound per barrel there. Something as hoppy as our IPA that we do the wet hop with, you have to use more wet hops to get the same effect. That one actually took over 5 pounds of hops per keg, 10 pounds a barrel. After our boil, we'll transfer that wort over into one of these 1,000-gallon fermenters, where it'll ferment for anywhere from 10 days to 5 weeks, depending on what kind of beer it is, whether it's an ale or a lager, and how strong of an alcohol we may be shooting for. More alcohol means more fermentation time. The yeast has more work to do to break down those sugars into more alcohol. And each brew day, as I said earlier, only fills this half full. So today we're brewing the second half of the Irish Stout into number 4, where you probably can't see from there, but it's bubbling away. The yeast is happy.
This is our Diatomaceous earth filter. We run our beer, about 1,000 gallons of beer from the fermenters that you just saw downstairs. We'll run it through this filter with about 50 pounds of Diatomaceous earth. Filtering out the beer at the end of the process. We'll have about 868 gallons, which we'll put in our serving tanks to serve to the general public, and some of that we'll put into kegs. Some of that goes to our bottling line. That ends up being about 104,000 pints, which we try to share with you too, but you know, if the brewmasters don't drink it all first.